Oh, we're recording. Hi. This is the Sisterhood panel discussion. Today we are going to talk about self-love and what it means to us. Each one of us will discuss our journey, our path to self-love. And so you guys introduce yourselves.
Hello, my name is Emmy. I am 38. I really like Ade. She's a great healer. It's a quick plug. And you can look at her website down there once it's posted.
It will be posted.
And I am from Miami Beach.
Yay! Welcome, Emmy.
Thank you.
I'm Michelle, and you don't need to know how old I am or where I live, so that.
Get that out of the way.
And thanks for the commercial, Emmy. That was amazing.
Emmy, thank you for your support. I love you, and I support you. I support all of you anyway, but I love
you. And the universe is always in agreement with you.
Oh, thank you. Oh my gosh, so much love. Okay, so I will start with what self-love means to me and my short version of my journey. I didn't always, I'm sure everyone can resonate with this, but I just remember not liking a lot of things about myself as a teenager. I didn't like my curly hair, so I wanted my mom to relax it. I had really, really, really long curly hair, and I wanted to have straight hair. So I did that. And then when I started going through puberty, just, you know what happens to girls. The hips start spreading, the growing pains, start developing the chest area, and then like all sports. I was like a tomboy, an extreme tomboy. I grew up befriending my brother's friends. I didn't have my own little crew of girlfriends. I didn't play with Barbies. I played with like those fake guns and trucks and whatever boys played with. I played soccer. I remember that. So anyway, just stepping into womanhood was shocking and traumatizing for me. I mean, it's hard to prepare someone for that. You can talk to them all you want about what to expect as a mother. My mom, she wasn't comfortable doing that, so much of that came from school. But still, there's nothing that they could have said to prepare me for that. And then the hormones, those lovely teenage hormones just were flowing in, and I just had a lot of opinions about myself. And I reflected a lot of stuff onto myself that really wasn't there because I wanted to look like the next girl, this girl, that girl. I was never good enough. So that carried on well into my 20s, my mid-20s. I guess I'm telling you guys my age now. But honestly, this spiritual journey helped me realize, well, once I started figuring out who I am on the inside, the self-love kind of came along with it. It's kind of like a package deal. And I started noticing through meditation, a lot of miracles, if you want to call it that way, around me. I started connecting to higher beings, and along with that came okay, there's questions in the chat. When did I start the spiritual journey? It actually started when I went back home to Ethiopia back in the end of 2010, December of 2010. Something awakened in me. Something about just seeing, I guess if you call it, my people. I saw a lot more people with the big curly hair that look just like this. And I saw how beautiful they are inside and out. And maybe something just awakened in me like, hey, I can look like that too. That's who I am. Why am I worried about all of this superficial, stuff. So when I came back home, I was like, I'm going on this natural hair journey. I went natural, started over, changed my diet. Anyway, so that was my journey to fast forward to self-love. I saw myself when I look in the mirror, and now I recognize who is looking back at me. And it's all beautiful. And I recommend everybody to do this a few minutes out of your day. You can do this at the start of your day. Just look in the mirror in silence and try not to have, clear your mind and just really look at yourself and see what you see and feel what you feel. Allow yourself to feel. So that's what I did, and that's what helped me. I feel like I've been talking a long time, so I'm gonna pass the mic to whoever would like to pick up. But that was my journey. I love who I am now. I love my life. Life is a lot sweeter, and it has more meaning to me because of this.
Well,
I'll
mine's
go.
going to take a minute, so yeah, you go.
Go ahead.
No, you go. Go ahead. No? You want me to go? Okay. So I was just thinking, and I have a lot more time on y'all, so let's see. I'm just thinking about the things I learned from my mother. My mother told us girls do certain things, right? And this is the way you're supposed to look, and this is the way you're supposed to act. So I had all these things in place. These are your parameters that I love to break them. I also really highly identify with the tomboy situation. I really, 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 dear Lord, like I was the only girl they'd let play, like kill the guy and stuff like that. Like all the other girls were too girly, but I wanted to be a boy. Like since I was like first grade is when I was really aware. I said, call me Bobby. So I was a gymnast, and then I did jazz, ballet, and gymnastics, like my whole life, or I mean, like my whole childhood, let's say. And I was very outdoors. And, the thing I actually would like to note is that I always felt, and I think it was really because of like, as we grow up, we kind of absorb our parents' fears. So my mom had maybe, let's say, a fear of not good enough. And how I felt in my body and how she informed me and she and my father, it was kind of a weird, we think you're so great, but also you suck. So it was a little confusing. So I literally always felt like I was not being paid enough attention to. So I was going to make sure you were going to pay attention to me, and I was going to be the very loudest, brightest, funniest thing ever. You're right? I'm going to be the class clown. That is kind of the role I took on. And I was like literally in high school, they called me Crazy Wampler. So because I needed some attention. Like good attention or bad attention, it didn't matter. Just somebody pay attention. So I actually so I feel like I absorbed my mom's fears. So this fear of not good enough. And what that turns into is judgment. Like my mom would show, I hope my mother never watches this, but she would show me by example how we talk about people behind their back, right? So look at that fat lady over there. Look at that, whatever. And like, even like, this isn't maybe a thing anymore, but even Pollock, I was like, they're white people, dude. Like, 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 I don't know. I don't even know what I don't even know what you mean. Like, anyway, so, it was just a lot of judgment. And so as I judge you, because now I understand this point, but it's taken me, yes, I'm 48. So now it's taken me 48 years or so maybe a little less, to understand, oh, we're all one. Okay. So, how ways in which I proved to myself how unworthy I was or how not good enough came in the form of eating disorders, of, not having enough respect for my body and or myself, to sleep with random people, to not be the kind of person, like I would judge a person. If your boyfriend cheated on you, I would judge him. Or if my boyfriend cheated on me, I would judge him, but I would have cheated on him 10 times already by then. Like, and that doesn't make any sense. So, I did the eating disorder thing through high school, and the boy thing, and the definitely, like, you're an alcoholic if, like, your body wants to throw up alcohol every time you take a drink. Like, you go out and party with your friends, but I loved it so much that I just did it all the time anyway. I was be like, I drink and I throw up, and I drink and I throw up, and it just didn't click that maybe your body doesn't want you to do this, but I had a baby young, early, like lots of drama and chaos and bullshit, basically. Just constant inflow. Like, if I wasn't like experiencing angst on some extremely high level or something exciting or horrifying, like, it didn't feel right. Like, it had to be all extreme everything. Like, do not let me sit still and just be. Like, that is the most uncomfortable place I could be. Like, just still and with myself. That was like terrifying, even into my 40s. So I could fast forward through 2 children who are in their 20s now. Two children, 3 failed marriages, countless serial monogamy relationships, whatever, and lots of shenanigans, and a lot of, I think I got sober when I was in 2002, so that was 14 years ago, the first time, like, for a long period of time, like 9 years or so, and then, and that was a huge spiritual awakening for me. Like, I learned the idea, in fact, from AA on how to stop trying to judge other people. But I could not, for the life of me, my brain would not allow me to love myself. Like, I would try to do affirmations because I hated me so much. And it wasn't until, fast forward 10 years, another decade, and now I've relapsed, and I'm going to 6 different treatment centers, and I'm doing a lot of work, a lot of work on old wounds, old stuff. And I was at this one place in California, and it was the first time I'd ever been exposed to having affirmations. Like, and I was just like, I mean, they physically hurt my body. They said, go look yourself in the mirror and say these nice things to yourself. And I would be like, like, it was literally, legitimately painful. And I was like, I don't know. I understood that this was the problem and this was going to need to be corrected, and that other people weren't my problem. I was my problem. But I didn't still have the tools, and those came a little bit later after some more grappling attempts of trying to remain sober after a long time. And I don't know how or why, but I thank God. I ran into Louise Hay's video, You Can Heal Your Life. And I watched it and I was like, what? I do this constantly. It's like a narrative of this woman's inner dialogue. And I was like, I do that constantly, even to the point where if you're happy, I'm pissed. Like, your happiness makes me feel like I want to slap you because I'm not happy. So, even to that point. So I literally just kind of kept watching it and trying to watch my thought patterns, trying to watch how I use my words against myself and against others, my judgment. And, and then it's a whole nother 5 years, or at least, let's see, then it's in a couple of years before I literally almost die. I literally am drinking myself to death. I hate myself so much. I am so horrible and awful a person that I gotta leave. I gotta go. See you, bye. And that is not a fun way to go, by the way. And then I woke up, and because I had already been exposed to this idea that I was my own problem. Me and my thoughts about me were in my own way, that I knew when I woke up from this huge long blackout, that was a really amazing debacle. I was like, you do not get to judge this. You do not get to hate on yourself. You do not get to judge this. All you have to do is figure out how to be okay in your own skin. This is your only task. And thank God I ended up at a treatment center that meditation was a part of it, and also Reiki healing. So it introduced me to the two things that I really love the most today. And so, a couple plus years of literally, and I had the means to sit for 2 years and make my house my ashram and just meditate and release. And by release, I mean sob and cry and scream and do whatever I had to do until I let it go. Am I willing to let this go? Yes. Am I willing to let this go? No, maybe not. Not right now, but maybe later, I had a very 3D experience. Nobody struck me with angels. I get angels now, but nobody struck me with it. I had to sit my butt down and feel myself hate myself. I'll just throw this out there because for me it was really helpful. It is very neutral to label a thing in your body by saying it's hot. I feel hot. Does it have a shape? Does it have a color? Does it have a texture? Is it got a temperature? I would label it not as good or bad, not judge. When I catch myself judging, I would go back to, it feels like a cylinder, let's say. It's red. It's like acid. That's what it feels like from my belly button up to here. And there's a big cube. It's blue in my throat, and it's blocking all my words because I can't say my words because what I have to say doesn't matter. It doesn't count. I couldn't. So I had to sit with that until it shifts, and it shifts, and it shifts, and it shifts, and it shifts. And so it's still a work in progress, and it's not all it's not oh, I 100% am free of all negative thinking. That's not true. But it's a magical journey. It is magical to not hate yourself. It is magical to catch a glimpse of yourself in the mirror and your eyes sparkle at you hey, I've never seen you before. Who are you? I like you. That is amazing. That, it takes, for me, it took a lot of literally dogged determination to not hate my own guts. Really. And I've never been in a place that is this place. I've never felt what it's like to feel okay. And the beautiful thing comes along with it is that you get to be okay too. I can allow other people to have their own stuff, and I don't got to judge it either. And so that is a beautiful gift also. Because when because I know what things feel like in my body, when I judge you, the general you of the world, I literally feel the same judgment I feel in my body when I'm judging myself. So that would take me from lots of self-hatred, decades upon decades and piles of self-hatred, In lots of ways, I tried to sabotage and end my own self to a place that is, wow. Who knew? I didn't know this existed. I didn't know you could feel okay in your own skin. I didn't know you could go out in public and not care what other people think. I didn't know you could not care what other people think, period. Like, I thought you always had to care about it. But you don't. I am the most important relationship I will ever have, period. Period. If I don't love me, how can I go? I can't. I can give you little tiny ideas of what I think love should look like, you know? And this is different. This is much different. You know, I just get to love you because you are, and I get to love me because I am, you know? And that's on my really, well, that's most days. But I mean, I still, you know, we're human. We're here to experience all of it. So that's all I got.
Emmy, would you like to tell us? Michelle, thank you for being so vulnerable. Thank you for being so honest. That was beautiful. And I'm going to toss it over to Emmy.
Yes, that was very beautiful. Thank you for giving us that glimpse in your journey in self-love. And I believe that expression will probably help a lot of people who will be watching this in the future. So my journey with self-love is a continuous journey, as it is for many, but I'm just learning over the last few months, just redefining the different ways you can manifest self-love, and those can be manifested in boundaries, right? Doing things for yourself, or saying no to things, even saying no to helping people. You know, there's such thing as spreading yourself in to the point where you're allowing others to take advantage of your kindness. However, you know, you are allowing it, and as long as you allow and you say yes, these situations, these uncomfortable situations are going to continue to manifest themselves in your life, and they're going to become more complex and more interesting until you realize that you need to make some changes. You know, that is like the universe's way of saying, okay, you didn't get it that time. Maybe I'll slap you with this interesting thing. What do you think about it now? Perhaps you should rewind, maybe learn how to say no. And it's like I'm confronted with these things every day. And I'm lucky that I have a roommate now that helped point it out. Like, you're too nice, dude. Like, you know, I don't know very many people who put themselves out like you did. And it's not like it's a bad thing. It's good to be nice. However, it's like you need to be more discerning about what you're going to allow into your life, you know? So he's in a very brash sense, because he's a pretty straightforward dude. You know, let me know, you know, you're a good person. You need to, you know, you need to start saying no and maintaining boundaries and being more discerning about the world around you. And it's not to be mean per se. It's also to it's also of course to protect yourself, and also it is just a way of like loving yourself as well. So and I've been confronted with this. I think these lessons just happen to just compile themselves as of recent, and I don't know if this is just part of like my spiritual journey. Okay, we're gonna slap you with all of these examples of self-love so you can, you know, learn some boundaries and then maybe move on, because as long as you don't learn this, you're not gonna get whatever. You're not, if as long as you don't learn A, you're not gonna learn B or get B, you know. So so with me, I think let's go and rewind. I grew up in a family, single home family, and my family was always taking people in, other family members from Mexico who are settling in new. I always had to give up my room to somebody or share some space with somebody. Somebody was sleeping on my floor, but you know, we had a house full of people who were always helping and like looking out for each other. So it's like if it's something, if you had something to give, you would give it, you know, because oftentimes you get it in return. At least in that situation. And my family were a family that is, my mother's side of the family, very supportive. And then another thing that was interesting about growing up is that I always was like the oddball, you know, and I don't know if I ever just only also do things because I'm making up for the fact somehow that I was always the oddball, and I didn't understand that that could be a positive thing. But at school, I got like kind of picked on a lot. I remember there was this cute little blonde girl who blamed something on me, and I ended up having to wear the dunce cap, you know, and being stuck in the corner of the room. And, you know, I think she flipped up my dress and made fun of my underpants or something like that. And so I had a lot of situations like that. Like, girls just did not like me. I got beat up sometimes. You know, I guess my mom decided to send me to school in the birthday dress once. That's very popular amongst Mexican families. I'm like, no, Mom, not the birthday dress, the patent leather shoes. Like, didn't you like wash clothes? What's going on? You know? And so, and with relationships, I mean, those have been few and far between, but I think some of my relationships, I go a little out of my way in relationships because I think I had like abandonment issues, kind of, you know, like I felt like I had to also compensate somehow because, you know, I was worried about this one like going away or something like that. And then I also felt the need to like grieve these relationships, you know, like a widow. So I would spend like the exact amount of time I noticed grieving these relationships, you know, as if there was a mandatory mourning period before I moved on to the next. No, I have to get this one out of the way before I move on to the next. So I just kind of like, I would just complicate my life in that sense. And I also would, then I kind of learned the self-love thing after getting over one boyfriend. I just thought about I was like, you know what? I am spending way too much time thinking about this person, and he's not thinking about me, you know, so I am going to focus on learning how to be happy in my own company, you know? And so I learned that, and I was single for many years, and I decided to be the guy and, you know, just start letting them know, hey, I'm dating, you know, this between you and I, you know, I'm seeing other people kind of thing. And, you know, if this seems to become something regular with us, that's great. However, if you start seeing other girls in a sexual manner, just let me know so we can just kind of like part our ways or something. You know, just I was in charge of like my femininity and stuff. I felt renewed. And then what happened was here's a shtick I told myself at some point. I will not get married until I am 27 or 28, and I will not have children until I'm 30. And an ex-boyfriend came back into my life. He's just like somebody that just came back into my life. Usually he had this habit of looking for maybe that nice, unassuming ex after something went wrong with somebody else he committed to a little bit more seriously. So he got back into my life, and I said, well, this is perfect because I am almost 30 and I am behind the power curve. And this person is perfect. He has X, Y, B, and C. He loves kids. I bet my mom would love him and stuff like that. And I was settled in a great job. You know, I was making great money where I was. And I chose to take a leap of faith. But I knew it was not the wrong decision. I'd even cry to him because I felt bad I felt bad that I was thinking about myself, and I wanted to follow through and be with him, but at the same time I had a positive career progression on my path. So it was so funny because I think I got him sick before we even lived together, because I was like, I really love you, but you know, I have this whole career progression ahead of me, and you know, I don't know if this is the right decision. And he'd be like, oh, well, that's fine. I understand you can stay where you are. We'll still be together. And I did not trust that. You know? And so I packed up my car and moved from Utah to North Carolina, Fayetteville, North Carolina. Rearranged my life. Luckily got a job to be there, self-sufficient with my boyfriend, living with my boyfriend. And, you know, this man, he told me he wanted to marry me. He loved me and all that other stuff. And then months later, he changed his mind. And I was upset because I made the move and everything. You told me you love me. What changed now? Like, what, we're good enough to live together, but you can't marry me, blah, blah, blah. And so I was just so focused on that. that. And one day I just realized, you've given up so much to be with this guy, and you have such a bright future, you know. Why don't you focus on that? Why are you so enamored with the idea of getting married to somebody? And then I'm like thinking, marriage and dating is like interviewing for a position that you may not get, with no insurance and no benefits. You know, why am I doing this to myself? And so we broke up. He ended up finding another girl from his past, marrying her. They're happy to have 2 kids, right? I moved back to Utah, stayed there for a few years, you know, didn't like it. And then decided to move to Florida. So, but I'm thankful about all of my experiences, because if not, like, I wouldn't have been to all of the places that I've been. Luckily, everything was a lesson learned. But, you know, I am still learning the self-love aspect, and I'm still learning I'm learning like the importance of self-talk, or that words mean things, and words affect your reality more than you imagine. you know, like, and then just even posit a negative outlook or whatever, even saying the simple, like, oh, I am fat today, or I'm fat, you know, and so, you know, if you're constantly saying, or like, or I'm so stupid, I hate myself, like this and this, you know, you're going to feel that, and you're going to manifest that into your reality and stuff like that. And the more you're like, oh, well, I need to do this because it's going to go away, you are creating that. You are creating that. And like, let's talk about the dating scene. You know, you're looking around for somebody to love, when that somebody you need to love is right here, right? And then you're looking for something. And when you're looking for something, you are telling the world that you lack that, you know, and the world is in agreement with you. The universe is in agreement with you. And so it's going to manifest in its reality lack. You're going to continue looking and looking and looking, and you will never find what you want, because you're saying, you're coming with it in a way of lack, you know. This is how these luckily there's free internet dating sites now, but they monetize, but hey, this is how these people make their money. And so like, once you start saying, calming down and hanging out with this guy and appreciating this guy, you know, you notice, like, maybe you'll notice people gravitate towards you that want to be in your company, or more like the people you want to be around, because you're giving out to the universe this vibe that all is well here, you know. And when I realized, when you ask a guy what he's looking for in a girl, a lot of the times they don't have a laundry list. They said, well, I just want a girl that's nice and she's happy and she's cool, you know. A lot of girls think that, oh, a man needs a lady we think that we need to be a perfect package, and that it's really weird when your ex-boyfriend leaves you for a girl who he's basically taking care of, you know. Or maybe she was like a waitress. Well, I have a bachelor's degree in this and this and that. I do this, you know, I can tap dance. I am a massage therapist. I'm an esthetician. I do this, you know. That you need this resume to woo men. Yes, those different aspects I'm sure will be attractive, but in the end, it's a woman who's easygoing, I guess, or has her self-love. Like, when you think of that story, and we'll go back to what I was saying earlier, if you ever read that book, Why Men Love Bitches, it should be entitled Why Men Love Women Who Love Themselves, you know, as opposed to the nice girl. So anyways, my piece.
That was so beautiful, Emmy. Listening to you girls talk brought up so much of my own experiences, and so much of what I didn't know then and what I know now. So I don't know. There was something that Michelle said about your mother talking behind people's back or whatever. And we learn we are a product of our environment. And so we do pick up these personality traits or whatever. You are you have your own personality, but you get that flair from your surroundings. And I remember my mom telling me, and she still believes this today, I was such an open person. Like, my friends knew a lot about me. And because I couldn't go to my mom, it's a culture thing. It's not her fault. There was never, like a manual on how to raise a child. This is something you just figure out on your own through experiences. And if you want to think about it spiritually, we picked these families to incarnate into for lessons. Okay, but now we're just going to tone it down a little bit to like the physical aspect. So my mom would tell me, do not ever reveal or be vulnerable to your friends because they can use it against you, or even like the guys you're dating because it might turn them off or whatever. Just keep everything to yourself. Don't ever reveal, don't be vulnerable. That's her thing. And that's just how she was brought up. That was a product of her environment. She is number 10 of 10 children. And, you know, growing up in a huge household, you have to compete for a lot of stuff. And even like her dad and her mom were a lot more stricter. Emmy probably can relate to this. Even Michelle, the Eastern culture, or maybe even like the African culture, maybe even some Latin cultures, we grew up being disciplined. Children grew up knowing their place. You know what I mean? So that's the environment that she was brought up in. And I was raised here in the States. I was born back home, was raised here in the States. So I was learning the American way of life. She brought the African, way of life. So there was a lot of clashing in cultures. So that was a little hard for me as well. I didn't know what to identify with. I was confused. So anyway, I realize now, at least for me, that is the worst thing you can do to yourself, is not be vulnerable to your friends or to others. Just like how we are having this discussion, we're learning from each other, and we realize we really are more alike. Even though we come from different cultures, different environments, we share the same experiences. They're just slightly different, slightly skewed. And when you're able to relate to each other on this level, you're able to have this conversation, your bond is growing, you are growing, you are healing also because you're releasing it. I'm releasing it to you guys. You guys are listening, you're healing, and you're sending healing back to me, and you're not even aware of all of this because now we're comfortable enough with each other to be vulnerable. And this is another way of you learning about yourself. I think it's truly important to stay true to yourself. This is a very important step in you finding out who you are. And then you realize exactly how loving you are, exactly how perfect you are, just the way that you are. And I'm speaking from my experience. This is what I found to be true for me. And when at a certain point you look back on what you perceive to be your mistakes, really they were not mistakes. They brought you to where you are today. You had to have those experiences. You had to reflect back on it, and it showed you, how strong you are, because you are now here able to talk about them. You learned your lesson, and it builds your capacity. And I will now pass it on to Michelle. I know she has something to add to that.
I just wanted to say that there is a gift that we give when we are open to people, when we share the truth, when we share the truth. It is so brave. It is so brave to be vulnerable. That takes courage. Being a walled off person and saying, no, you cannot come near me, I will not share my heart with you, that's cowardice. We don't know it. We think that's how we protect ourselves. We don't know any better. But for me, I've had a lot of practice through AA, and what I have found is that my experiences, like the things you would think would be the worst thing you could ever have happen to you, like for me, like that worst horrible thing I did, like becomes the greatest jewel I can hand another woman in the rooms of AA, or a friend, or anybody. My experience, all of them, has now given me I know what that feels like. And so this is why it's really special to be that open and vulnerable, is that we get to relate in. We let others relate in to, I've been there too. I've been there too. I've been there too. And you know, I don't need the world to think I'm perfect. I'm not. Like, I do not need that. And also now I do not either need your approval. But that, but that, you know, is a different topic for another day maybe. But, you know, this being open to me is a gift. It is a gift we share with each other. It is about oneness. It is about, I am not better than, nor am I less than, and you are not better than, nor are you less than. We are the same. Even if I don't necessarily want to like be your best friend, that's okay too. But here's some love. Have a nice day. You know. I guess I just wanted to talk about that part of it, that aspect. And I think that's, you know, I mean, this topic really opens a wide array of how-tos. I do want to throw in a couple more practical solutions, because I didn't like just get all amazing. Like there's these things called binaural beats for like if you have anxiety or depression, like they work. There's isochronic tones. There's Louise Hay. There's Matt Kahn. There's all kinds of spiritual teachers on the YouTube everywhere, you know, to guide me. And I highly recommend, as a second step from Louise Hay, Matt Kahn, because he teaches you in a very easy manner how to love your own heart and how to send love to that. Like the things that make you angry, things that make you upset, things that make you jealous, whatever. Send love to that and send it to your own heart. Send it to your own heart, send it to that. And that's a really lovely and beautiful and easy to follow practice. Thank you.
Emmy, anything you'd like to add?
Let me see. That's a hard act to follow. Another thing, oh yes, I was just typing this in the window, but when you say that, there's people who say, I'm not perfect, there's nobody who's perfect, only God is perfect, only Jesus is perfect. You are perfect in
Exactly
whatever moment you are, because God made you exactly the way you are, no matter how you are manifesting it, no matter what you are going through. You know, He made you that perfection. What is perfect, by the way, you know? Anyways, yes, you are perfect the way you are. You are always loved and supported by the universe. You are an extension of God. God made you in His image, and if He's perfect, then you're perfect too. Just the way you are. The only thing you got to do is believe it, and also be confident and be happy on how you're manifesting that perfection.
Thanks, Mom.
That is so beautiful. Thank you. Yes, we are all perfect, but to take it
Not in the traditional
further, you know, I know these are just words. People want to know, okay, how do I start believing that? How do I start, like, the mechanics of it? And I find, like Michelle had mentioned, people you could listen to or watch, Louise Hayes, Matt Kahn, Abraham Hicks is another one that I enjoy. I read a little book called The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. He was instrumental for me. That was one of the first books that I picked up and read, and it just taught me the importance of or how magnificent you are. Like, and it's in a language that is very simple and it reaches all like masses. Yes, Michelle mentioned YouTube videos. Yeah, go on a little journey. There's so much material out there. There's something that everyone can resonate with in this genre, in this topic. Yes, Michelle.
I didn't think about this because I like been trying to be like a different person for a long time, but Conversations with God was the first book that introduced me to the idea that we chose to be here and experience this. And there's a lot of like relief when you can like wrap your mind around that idea and then like go, oh, but I choose this. Like somewhere along the line, all of this I'm choosing.
Exactly. That was the next one I was going to mention.
Eckhart Tolle is like amazing.
Eckhart Tolle is amazing.
Marianne Williamson. I mean, there's like the list goes, there's a list.
There's a lot of literature that, you know, if you're like me, I'd like to actually hold a book and read it. You can buy the hardcover or whatever, or you can, like Michelle likes to listen to in books, and I think that's also wonderful, because that also, for some people, it just brings it live, and you can dive into it. And Emmy, all that jazz, growth and all that jazz. Okay, yes, maybe you can chime in and talk about that, if you'd like, Emmy.
Yes, I like all of the things that you guys mentioned thus far. Like Ade was saying and Michelle was saying, there's a bunch of videos on the internet that could help you on your way, and books and all that other stuff. But what really, it starts with a choice. You know, it's a choice to start loving yourself, and then just think of all of the ways that loving yourself manifests. Like the example I gave, it could be a simple no, or I can't make it at that time because I meditate in 30 minutes and I need time. So it could be you know, just whatever way loving yourself, you can think of manifesting yourself. Just like I mentioned earlier, you know, oh yes, I saw an Abraham Hicks video which was called Choosing Upstream versus Downstream. So if it feels like you are going against the grain and it just doesn't feel right to you, don't do it. You know, that's another way of manifesting self-love, whatever that is, even if it's simple. It seems simple or negligible to you. You know, just going against your gut instinct is a way of manifesting not self-love. You know, dieting, for an example. Dieting. Do you know what the first three letters are in diet? D-I-E. What do they spell? Die. Die.
I love you for saying that.
And then it's just like another thing with dieting. It's just like, for example, these are easy ways to get examples of negative self-talk. I will be happy when I lose 30 pounds. I am going to be so beautiful when I lose 30 pounds. I would be so pretty if I was 20 pounds lighter. Or just like other words that will manifest itself into your reality. I'm fat, you know. I can't. Oh yes, the food we eat, even in this toxic culture, whatever, or organic food is king, because we want the perfect things in our body, because we are so concerned about what's in our food. There's stress attached to it. And what does stress attachment cause? Stress and cortisol levels. What does that get you? It gets you some fun weight gain and fibromyalgia and all of these things that are basically a manifestation of not self-love.
So, like, put a positive spin on that. What does self-love look like? Does that that looks like I nourish my body. It looks like I bend and move my body. It looks like I say no. And no is a complete sentence, by the way. You're welcome. I don't have to explain to you why, because I said no. Okay.
Yeah.
Like
Boundaries is important. Yes.
boundaries is maybe the most difficult and beautiful gift you will ever, like, I've personally, like, I love being able to say no and not feel like I gotta explain myself or guilt about it. Like, I gotta take care of me. Like literally, I do not have to tell you, I cannot be around you because I cannot stand your energy or whatever. Like, I don't have to say that. I just say, no, thank you. No, thank you.
Yes, and actually, you taught me that the other night too, because we were talking about boundaries the other night, and I was basically phrasing or writing down to Michelle what I was going to say to a specific person about a specific thing, and because I was just concerned about like getting the point across to this person without having them feel like they were let down, like really caring about their feelings, but at the same time, really, I needed to take care of myself. So Michelle brought up that, okay, yeah, that's too much. By the way, no is a complete sentence. You don't have to add all the fluff.
Like, I'll give a great example. Brooke looks me in the eye and she says, I love you so much, but if I have to, I will call the police and have you committed.
Brooke is her amazingly spiritual daughter, actually.
She's beautiful. So, yeah, I think it's time to wrap this up. So that's how I'm feeling.
Well, yeah, I was going to actually, it is time to wrap it up, and I want to leave it with this, and you guys can add on if you like. There is a lot of people out there, a lot of little girls, women, who really don't have anyone to have this type of a relationship with, vulnerability. I didn't grow up knowing that I can talk to my mom about anything. So luckily for me, I, had a best friend that I talked to about everything. We were so vulnerable. It was she's still my best friend. But it was such a beautiful, beautiful relationship because I had her to unload all of my shit on, if you want to put it that way. And she, vice versa, she unloaded all her stuff on me, and we had this bond, and we still do, and that was beautiful, and that helped me so much. Even though I wasn't on my spiritual path then, that kept me sane. As a teenager, as a teenage girl, with all the stuff that's going on in your body and all the changes that are coming, not having anyone to talk to is pretty hard. So I do want to stress to those who feel like they can't talk to their mom or whoever is near them or a family member, you can do that with your friends. Try to be vulnerable. If you don't have friends, go online. There's a lot of communities out there that are doing the very thing we're doing. And I can leave like links in the description bar. We do have the Divine Feminine Hangouts where it's all girls and we talk about stuff like this. Hopefully we'll do this every week and we can add guests to this so we have more points of views. It's beautiful. So I will leave all of that in the description bar. If Emmy, you want to add on to this, if you have any recommendations where people can go or anything you want to leave this with.
Oh, yeah, just really quickly. If you don't feel like you can connect with people, if you want to just bring it down to the minute, simplest level, talk to God or source or whatever, magic tree in the sky being you believe in, talk to God and just kind of reflect and meditate, and you can spend time with yourself. And then whether you believe it or not, know that you are never alone. You are loved, and you are loved, and you are always supported by the universe. And then when you believe that, you will feel it.
Michelle?
The only thing that's really popping up into my awareness is that in my experience also, when I can see myself like feeling so alone, so suicidal, so alone, so suicidal, and like telling myself, some part of me knows, if you want a friend, be a friend. If you want a friend, be a friend. If you want a friend, be a friend. Like, you cannot, like, I've always had this idea that everybody should just come to me like I'm super sparkly and special. Like, I just deserve it somehow. Like, I'm the worst, but I'm the princess. Like, if I want a friend, I got to be a friend. And sometimes that means I have to get uncomfortable, and I have to go places, and I have to, like, give my time and energy to somebody else and be in an uncomfortable way and just try to feel it out and see what it feels like and see if it's for me. I think that's all.
Beautiful. So we will end on that. And Emmy added that you are never alone. And it is true, like attracts like. Your vibration, if we want to take it there, will attract like vibrations. So that's important to keep in mind. I love you both for sharing yourselves, a huge part of yourselves. And this will help so many people, hopefully, in the future. God bless and thank you. Much love. Until
Much
next time.
love to you.
Much love. Bye.